Hey YouTube, it's your girl Marita Joyce and I am back with another book haul. Okay, so it's been a minute since I did a book haul and I still need to fill up my shelves. I'm still working on filling my shelves up. Once I'm done filling my shelves up, I promise you guys I will do a video showing you guys my shelves and what I have on my bookshelf. Most of the books you already know because I've done hauls on them, but I'll give you guys a chance to actually see what it looks like. Okay, so I haven't quite completed that yet, but I'm still working. So I went out looking for Crazy Rich Asians. You guys know that the movie's out. The book is out as a movie in the theaters. And of course, I wanted to go and see the movie, but I was like, I gotta have the book. I gotta have the book. Couldn't find the book. Went to my local library bookstore. They told me they didn't have it. I was pretty unhappy about it because I figured if I got it there, I could get it at a better price. I'm not opposed to going to Barnes & Noble and paying full price because I know the artists need to survive, right? That's why they write these books, is to make money. So I went ahead and did that. But while I was actually at the library bookstore, since I couldn't find Crazy Rich Asians, I did run into a couple of other books that I thought would be important to add to my bookshelf. The first one is Stephen King's Mr. Mercedes. I have wanted this book for a while. I just don't know what to say, y'all. This book is actually raining blood. So yeah, that kind of says it all. This book is about a guy who is basically running people down, innocent people in his Mercedes. Like, he's just running people down in a stolen Mercedes. So it's quite horrifying to think about, especially with the things that are going on in the world today, because people are actually running people down with cars. So I don't know, like, it's really hard for me to get into Stephen King books. As you guys know from my previous videos, I've never actually read one of his novels. The only novel that I have read was not like a horror novel of his. It was an actual book on writing, and that's actually the title of it, On Writing. That's the only book I've read by Stephen King, and I actually fell in love with it. So much so that although I'm afraid to read this book, I am purchasing lots of Stephen King books. So I know that I will build up the courage and I will actually read this book. I know I will because I'm spending money on these books. I'm buying them. I haven't quite got to that point yet. I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. So I figure if after I get enough of them on my shelf, I will actually be forced to read them. So anyway, this is one that I heard about that I really wanted. And so I went and picked it up. It's about an ex-cop who is trying to is hunted by this unsolved crime. And yeah, this guy's just, you know, I mean, he just decided that he was just going to run people over with his car. So interesting stuff. Okay, so the next one that I picked up is Insomnia, also another Stephen King book. This one, guys, this one is obviously about someone who can't sleep. Now, what I found interesting about this book is one of the reasons I'm terrified to read Stephen King's books, because I've heard they're so scary. I grew up in the house with a brother who was like a Stephen King fanatic, and he watched Stephen King's movies all the time, and they terrified me as a child, and so that's why I'm so afraid to read Stephen King's book. But what I thought was interesting about Insomnia was that in the back on the blurb it goes, "You gentle reader may never sleep again. Welcome to Insomnia." Like, that's all I need to read. Like, it's just, oh, I'm damaged now. Anyway, that's Insomnia. I'm going to read that one as soon as I build up enough courage. The next book is another Stephen King book. This one is Dreamcatcher. And I actually took it off my shelf, which is why there's a hole here. I had it up there. So Dreamcatcher, another horror story. I know that Stephen King's books are going to be so good, and I honestly believe once I get into these books, I'm really going to eat them up one by one. I just know I will. I know I'll love them. I love everything about Stephen King. I watched so many of his talks on YouTube, and I love him. I love his personality. I like him as a writer. Like, everything about him, I'm just terrified of him. I think his imagination is extremely vivid, and so is mine, which I think is why I'm afraid to read this, because my imagination will take this book and run wild with it. So yeah, anyway. And last but not least, the last Stephen King book I have is Lizzie's Story. And you know what? When I got this book, guys, this is Lizzie's Story by Stephen King. When I picked this book up off the bookshelf, I just thought, oh wow, another Stephen King book. I'm on a Stephen King book collection run right now. Why don't I just grab it? And what I didn't realize was that this is what the book actually looks like. I'm 100% positive that I already own this book. But the reason I didn't know was because it was wrapped up in this. And I didn't even take time to really look at the book. I just saw Stephen King on it and grabbed it. So I already own this book. I'll probably be passing this copy along to my nephew, who is an avid Stephen King fan. He loves Stephen King books. So I'll probably give him one just because I have another one already. And I think this is a beautiful book. This is so pretty. This is one of the prettiest books I've ever seen. So yeah, so I will be passing this along to somebody else, which I love to do. I love to share my love of reading with other people. So all is not lost on this. And yeah, I still have not, although I've had this particular book, Lizzie's Story, on my shelf now for quite a few months. If you look in my past videos, you'll see. And I still haven't gotten around to reading it. So yeah, still kind of nervous about this one as well. But I will pass the extra copy along to somebody else so they can enjoy it. My nephew's not afraid to read these at all. He'll love it. Alright, so that is it for the Stephen King books. And I have two other books I want to talk to you guys about. One is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. This book I've wanted for some time. I've read so much about it. I've listened to lots of podcasts about it. It's now on Netflix, so I'm going to watch this tonight because I like to watch the movie sometimes before I read the book. And so yeah, and then I will actually get around to this book as soon as I can find time to get around to it. The next book, last but not least, is Crazy Rich Asians. I have been everywhere looking for this book in all of the local bookstores, library bookstores, and I couldn't find it. Right now the movie's out. I went to see it today, guys. It was wonderful. If you haven't seen this movie and you enjoy movies, I would recommend that you go see it. It was so funny. I was crying laughing. I had to reapply my foundation, y'all. I was laughing so hard. It was very funny. It was interesting. It kind of gave me a peek into Asian culture. It was humorous, very hip movie. It was hip. It was a lot of slang references and things in there that I found funny and just interesting. It was just an interesting movie. And the story was good. It made me laugh. It made me want to cry. It was sad. It was beautiful. You get to see some of the most beautiful things. I learned about Singapore. I've never been to Singapore. I have pictures of some of the hotels and things that they stayed in because I do know somebody that travels to Singapore very often, and so it just made me feel a little bit closer to Singapore than I already do. I've never visited there. Now I would actually like to go, and I've never felt that way before. So the movie was good in that sense. It made me want to travel. So Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan, y'all, it was good. This movie was about Rachel Chu and Nicholas Young, and they are basically going on a trip. She's staying at the hotel with him while he's visiting family, and all hell breaks loose because his family is super rich and they realize that he's in love with this girl, and they're just not having it because she's not from the background that they would like her to be from. She's not rich. She doesn't come from a perfect little family, and so it's just not going to happen from their perspective. And she goes through the emotional roller coaster. I mean, she's picked on, she's bullied by them, she's made fun of, she's made to feel less than. And yeah, so I'm not going to tell you guys the full things because I really think you should go out and see the movie and get the book and just I mean really experience this for yourself. But I think it's really good. I'm hoping that my book club would want to read this book so that I could get to it a lot sooner, because generally my book club pick is the first book I consider because I want to make sure that I can show up for the book club and actually speak on the book. And so a lot of times I will push whatever book that we're currently reading to the top of my list and be reading that book. So I'm hoping that this will be one of them because I really enjoyed the movie and I would love to read the book. So yeah, that's what the movie was about. The book is pretty much the same from what I've heard. Haven't read it yet, so I will get around to reading it. And that's it, guys. That's my small book haul, and the reason I even bought these books was because of this one book. Can you imagine? This one book made me buy all those books, like, by mistake. So, the life of a book addict. Yes, so that's what happened. So yeah, so leave comments in the comment section below if you guys have read this book already. If you can think of some good reasons why I should get around to it right away, please let me know, and let me know if you enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, tell me what you didn't like about it. I want to hear from you guys. Okay, so that is it for my book haul, and please like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye.